This is the third video on internal site structure inside SEO Experts Academy. The first was Matt Carter's Camtasia rundown on all of the important concepts and principles that are vital to get right. The second one, that is also in the basic area, is about building mini sites, and obviously lots of internet marketers have a strategy whereby they have a lot of mini sites rather than a few big authority sites. But now we need to move on to the big authority site, and this is an area I've been doing quite a lot of research into, and I'd like to report back kind of the findings of that now and the approaches that I'm using on authority sites that I'm building or have built. So I have built a demonstration site of this, and the URL is appearing on the screen now, and you can go there and just have a look at exactly how that works. Now, the main difference between the authority site and the mini site, apart from the underlying internet marketing philosophy behind it, where you've got a little bit of money from a lot of mini sites or a lot of money from a few authority sites, is that the authority site tends to have an awful lot of pages, and it could be hundreds, thousands, or even up to millions of pages, as is the case with someone like Wikipedia, for example. So for the demonstration site that I built, which I'm going to be detailing now, I've worked with no more than I think probably about 30 to 40 pages on that one. But the principle can be applied to a much bigger site, of course. So the keyword we're going to be working with, the niche that we're looking at, is stereo sound systems. And of course, it could be applied to anything, this whole approach. So if you've had a quick look at the demonstration site, you'll see that the home page is targeting that term. It's after stereo sound systems. Now, the thing about a great authority site, and what makes them actually pretty difficult to beat rankings-wise when they get established, they're kind of almost impregnable. Actually, an important factor to really bring in here is when you look at ranking success, there are kind of two big factors at work: relevance plus authority, which you might call trust or reputation as well. If you can combine those two elements, you've really got a fantastic rankings, not just for the home page, but for lots of pages actually within the authority site. So in this stereo sound systems model here, we have quite a few different categories set up, and really at the heart of choosing these categories and even the pages that in the categories is obviously great keyword research. So in this particular example, I think we've got things like Aiwa stereo sound systems, we've got a page, a category for Bose, we've got Sony, we've got RCA, we've got Pioneer, Philips, Panasonic, etc. Kind of logical. When you look at stereos, it was one way. It wasn't the only way. You could break it down by price or stereotype. Is it surround sound? All of those kind of things. But we have all of these category pages. And within each category, you'll see on the demonstration site that we've got a bunch of other pages there targeting specific models. So, for example, within that category of Aiwa stereo sound systems, we've got the Aiwa GX500, the Aiwa LM2, and so on. We've got all these different models, and the same in Bose. We've got a bunch of these, all devoted to a particular product within that general category. And as you're probably seeing there, what I'm doing is creating silos of content. And silo just means vertical columns, pretty much. And of course, when we're talking about internal site structure, we are talking about how the site is organized, but fundamentally it's how the site is linked together. So we've got all these different silos with all these different products in here. And if you're not sure that that's effective when it comes to these kind of product things, just do a type in for a particular model number and just see how many Amazon results come up with no backlinks. It's amazing. They have really, really good coverage across the web purely from the internal linking within their own site. So we've got all these silos going, as you see on the demonstration site. Now what you should do, as you should on a mini site of course, if you've keyword researched these terms that have a good balance of maybe not too difficult SEO competition but good traffic, you obviously need to come in and build links to these pages, mostly with the anchor text that you want it to rank for. So external links coming into this page should have the anchor text of Aiwa GX500 or Aiwa LM2 and excuse me, Sony RX59 or whatever. You've got all those external links coming in. Now, as we're all kind of super busy in internet marketing and we tend to have a pretty short attention span on the whole, the question is, how can we actually link all that together in an easy way like a big, genuine authority site? And you could obviously go in and do kind of manual links. On the mini site video I did recommend one option is, because you're only dealing with like 5 to 10 pages, you can go in and build contextual links on each page to the other pages in the site using the exact anchor text. Now what I see the big authority sites doing, and I mean hundreds of thousands of pages, could be less, could be more, what I see these guys doing is they tend to have they kind of use a navbar structure to organize their internal links. So it could be a sidebar and it could be a top bar. And there is a PDF guide as well, and there's a link below this video on this whole internal site structure, and it goes into a lot of detail that probably wasn't really possible to cover here in this video, where I'm just trying to give you a good overview of the whole process and principles involved. But effectively what they do, let's assume we're working with a side navbar. It could be on the top, but let's just for now say we're working on the side. And what many of them will do is actually have this sidebar, and this sidebar is actually throughout the whole site. Every page, of course, has this sidebar. And these are very, very high-ranking sites for really tough terms. And on this sidebar, they'll have their category, then they'll have the pages. Category, such as RCA stereo sound systems, RCA models. Philips stereo sound systems category, models. So in effect, even though they do have these kind of silo structures sort of organized, they're creating this kind of huge, unavoidable forest of links within the site, all with the kind of exact anchor text match going to each of these pages. It's pretty much impossible for bots hitting that site, coming through fresh backlinks or whatever. It's pretty much impossible for them to avoid hitting these pages and associating, you know, this page with being super relevant for Aiwa LM2. I mean, it's got hundreds or possibly thousands, or it might only be dozens, of other pages all pointing to that page that's been properly on-page SEO'd for that term, Aiwa LM2. So how can Google not regard it as relevant? Now, the big objection I immediately get when I start to talk about this side navbar stuff and these site-wide links is the fact that we know in SEO circles that site-wide links are kind of poison. If you rent a blog roll link, or you pay for a footer link, or you get a footer link somewhere in there, and it's across the whole site, it doesn't actually do that much. Google seems to pretty much devalue sidebar links. And when I look at my experience with homepage backlinks, where we had the opportunity to test every possible position on the page, we tried blog roll links, we tried footer links, we tried fake blog comments, we tried real blog comments. Basically what we found was, in terms of those links on the page, the best position was contextual backlinks, right within the main body of the article there. But there's a really crucial exception to that rule, and that is if these site-wide links are within your own site. If they point to your pages, Google is going to recognize and reward that right across the site. If these point out to external sites and which obviously looks pretty much like kind of spammy paid links, kind of a no-brainer in a way for Google, they tend to get pretty much devalued. I haven't seen any good ranking success really with much of those. Contextual, for links going out, contextual is definitely where it's at, and that's what we use, of course, in homepagebacklinks.com. So this navbar structure can work extremely well, and I just see it on site after site after site. Big authority sites ranking for big insurance or finance terms or legal terms, medical terms, health terms, things like that. They have a very strong navbar structure replicated right across the whole site. Now, if you come along and get a web designer to build your authority site, they can probably integrate all of that for you. But it's kind of fiddly and it can take time. But it's definitely an option and one that you could use. But recently, because I was so frustrated with the lack of WordPress themselves having good plugins that did all of this kind of stuff, that I actually went out and had my own built. And the plugin that I built is called SEO Show Posts, and it's free for you inside SEO Experts Academy, so I'm not trying to sell you anything here. And there's a link to the installation video and how it works beneath this video. So it's actually kind of got two modes, this SEO Show Posts. You can come along and set it up to show category posts, category post, category posts. And in fact, it might be that you want to deselect some and not show them all. And you can just go in, and it takes like all of 60 seconds to set up SEO Show Posts. Very, very simple. You can choose which posts or pages that you want to have showing on your sidebar across the whole site. So you can switch off categories. You can just have posts. Like on the mini site, it's quite often frustrating just to get WordPress to actually show all of your posts. You don't want categories, and on that recent posts widget that you drag into the sidebar, no matter what number you put in there, you can't get it to show all of your posts. SEO Show Posts does that easily. So it's got a couple of modes in its current form. Actually, I'm getting a few things done to it, adding nofollow and a few other bits and pieces. But even the version that exists now, the free one that you have access to, will work for mini sites just showing posts, or for a massive authority site showing categories and posts as well. And if you have a look at the demonstration site, you'll see exactly this plugin in action. And in fact, I'll do a short video at the end of this one, a short extra segment just showing it in action there. Now, the thing is, we can look at all of this work and go, why on earth am I going to do that? That just seems so much work. It's like many, many times a mini site kind of worth of work. Well, the reason that you would want to do it is because you're developing a long-term digital asset. And if you build this kind of site and you've got a good conversion model, whereby today you've got stereo sound systems, if you added a new category, which might be Blu-ray players or surround sound systems or noise cancelling headphones, this site now already will have all of this trust and authority, and many of these pages will be ranking very high and have kind of established their authority or reputation with Google. So when you come along and just add a brand new category, or even you just add new models here, and suddenly all of these sidebar links everywhere, there's a forest of links pointing to this new page. How quickly do you think that new post or page gets indexed, and how quickly do you think it gets some of the rub off from that trust and authority? And obviously you're going to use some external backlinks as well. You definitely need to do a lot of backlinking here, and in fact by backlinking your category pages, you've got a good shot of getting those links on the search results page underneath your site details. So building a big authority site definitely is a lot more work. It requires a lot more patience. It requires more resources, but you're building a great long-term digital asset, and it could be one that you literally keep forever, or it could be one that in future at some time you sell, and big authority sites like this fetch a lot of money on Flippa. because on Flipper there's an awful lot of junk kind of mini sites that are all sold on hope and potential. But if you've got a proven big authority site with a lot of pages, a lot of traffic, and a pretty good conversion model where it's making money, that's absolute gold on Flipper, and you could well get a huge payday from that kind of site. But even if not, it's still a great digital asset that will just provide you, every page potentially is giving you income and broadening your reach across the web. You know, you add in more models of stereo, you add in noise cancelling headphones, you add in other related audio video products, and it just broadens your reach into the marketplace online. And in the process of doing that, you find that cumulatively you probably actually make a lot more money than you do from a bunch of badly done mini sites, or even quite good ones. So that's a good model for the internal site structure. If you have comments or questions, just leave them below the video. This is the demonstration authority site that I've built, and this one has been built using my WordPress plugin, SEO Show Posts. And you can see on the right hand side here how we have these category pages like Aiwa stereo systems, Bose stereo systems, JVC stereo systems, kind of all the category headings that I covered on the whiteboard. But notice how underneath we've got those specific product pages, and if we actually click on one, we can see that all of the other links are still active there on the sidebar. So it's very difficult as the search engine bots crawl around this site not to keep recrawling those other pages and associate those particular pages with those terms. Now, of course, this could be applied to virtually any niche, but this is just to give you an idea of how a good authority, category driven, and kind of the architecture is set up for these different categories can be done. If you're not sure how to use that WordPress plugin, my WordPress plugin SEO Show Post, there is a demonstration video on installing it and setting it up underneath this one. Now, just to give you an idea of how other big authority sites use this kind of architecture, not necessarily in exactly the same way with WordPress. I did a search on the term auto insurance, and these were all of the top pages in the US for that term. And if we have a look at their particular navbar links, we can see here as we move to each one, they've got a link to those other terms that they're trying to rank for as well here, like condominium insurance and renters insurance and home insurance claims and so on. And if we actually go to any of those pages, any of those categories, we can see that that navbar with all those links remains. Now, we should need to remember that Googlebot sees the page differently to a human viewer, so Googlebot can see all of those links under each tab, even though we would need to just click on them or hover over them to see them as well. And of course, one quick thing I should mention with your WordPress setup, if you're using SEO Show Posts or a different method for that authority structure, is that you do want to, of course, be building backlinks to all of these. And you also want to build backlinks to these category pages with a view to getting a site links listing on Google. Double listings have gone now, unfortunately, on Google, but quite often you will see good site links listings here that can often be achieved through backlinking, and typically it will be some or many of the category pages. So it's really important to go in and backlink those, and also make sure that your permalinks in WordPress has been properly set up and doesn't use the default one. So for example, if we click on this Aiwa one here, and I just go up to the top, we can see that it's got the category URL here of Aiwa stereo systems, and then the post URL there as well. By default, WordPress does not do that, so it's very important to make sure you've got the correct permalinks WordPress setup. So if we have a look at a few more of these insurance sites here, we can see this one at Nationwide. We can see all of these other particular pages that they're trying to rank for, and let's just see if we go to those pages what's happening in terms of site-wide navbar links. So we can see over here within that section they've got a bunch of other links that they want to link to, and nothing too exciting down the bottom there. So we've got this kind of subcategory section here, and within those different links going for them as well. And of course Googlebot can see under these tabs, so all of those will also be showing up here. Safe Auto Insurance, we can see they've got a bunch of links here for the specific terms they're trying to rank for. And interestingly, I see this quite a lot on certain particular kinds of sites. They'll have their state link in there, like a US state as well, and that's right across the whole site. So it's very difficult for Googlebot to avoid that. On State Farm here, we've got again kind of tabbed links, site-wide navbar links. Googlebot will see those as part of the links on the page, even though we can't until we hover there. So again, very difficult for the search engine bots to avoid that. Over here on Geico, let's just check. Again, kind of tabbed site-wide navbar links. Doesn't look like these guys are doing much in the way of PageRank sculpting, because with SEO Quake and SEO for Firefox switched on, I'm not seeing any no-follow links there. So if we went to that manage your policy, let's say we go to RV. So we're on that particular page, but that navbar remains intact. So in a way, Googlebot is seeing those as still kind of links on that page to a certain degree. The final one here on Esurance. So we can see under here a whole bunch of links that they're trying to rank for these pages. Condo insurance, life insurance, pet insurance, ATV insurance, and so on. Let's go to one of those pages. And we can see that that navbar, all those links are still active there. So if you have any questions or issues with using that WordPress plugin, it's not the only way to set up an authority site in this way with categories and posts using this sidebar area. But I just find with my WordPress plugin it's a pretty quick way of doing it. And hopefully those examples on the whiteboard give you a good insight to that kind of authority, category-driven site structure.